I traded a man who loved me for one who used me, and called it growth. I told myself it was self-discovery when I kissed him in that hotel bar. That's the lie I whispered while my fiancé was at home, probably cooking dinner for us, probably picking out paint samples for the nursery we'd talked about building. Probably rewatching that show we started together, pausing it because he never watched ahead without me. Probably still believing I was at a work conference. Probably still thinking I was the woman he proposed to on that beach in Maui, the one who cried and said she'd never been so sure of anything. I wasn't that woman anymore. Maybe I never was. Brandon and I had been together for 6 years. We met at a friend's barbecue. He'd made me laugh within 5 minutes, and by the end of the night, I had his number saved with a little heart emoji. He was stable. Dependable. The kind of man who remembered my coffee order even when I changed it, who never made me guess where I stood, who showed up to every single one of my work events even though he hated networking. We were supposed to get married in 4 months. White dress already fitted. His mom already bought her outfit and cried when she tried it on. My dad already wrote his speech and practiced it in front of my stepmom 3 times. The deposit was down on the venue. The invitations were at the printer. But somewhere around month 5 of wedding planning, stable started feeling like boring. Dependable started feeling like predictable. The man who'd held me through my mother's funeral, who'd driven 4 hours in a snowstorm to bring me soup when I had the flu, who'd never once raised his voice at me even when I probably deserved it, suddenly felt like a weight around my neck instead of a partner by my side. And then I joined that new gym. Jackson. Personal trainer. Jawline that could cut glass. The kind of body you see in fitness magazines, all carved muscle and confidence. An Instagram following of 47,000. He'd post shirtless photos with captions about living your truth and not settling for mediocrity. Women would flood his comments. He'd respond to some of them. I told myself I was just another client when I signed up for his training package. But he texted me after our first session. Great work today. You've got potential. Most people don't push themselves like you do. It felt good. Brandon complimented me, sure, but it was the comfortable kind. You look beautiful before we left for dinner. I'm proud of you when I got a promotion. Nice things. Safe things. Things that didn't make my pulse race. Jackson made me feel seen in a different way. Like I was wasting something precious. Like I was this incredible person trapped in an ordinary life. The text became daily. Then hourly. Memes. Workout tips. Then photos. Him at the beach. Him after a training session, sweat glistening. Then the messages got deeper. You ever feel like you're living someone else's life? Your man know how lucky he is? I should have stopped it there. I know that now. But my single friends were in my ear constantly. We'd go out for drinks and they'd scroll through Brandon's Instagram. He hasn't posted you in 3 months. Girl, you're too hot to be with an accountant. When's the last time he took you somewhere exciting? They'd show me their dating app matches, these guys with adventure photos and mysterious jobs, and suddenly Brandon's steady government job felt embarrassing instead of secure. I started lying to myself. Small lies that built into big ones. I'm just texting a friend. It's nice to feel desired. Brandon doesn't make me feel the way I used to feel. I deserve passion, not just comfort. This isn't really cheating if it's just emotional. Except it wasn't just emotional. The first time I met Jackson outside the gym, I told Brandon I was going to a work happy hour. I got dressed up. Wore the perfume Jackson had mentioned liking. Met him at a wine bar downtown. We sat close. His hand kept brushing my thigh. He told me I was magnetic and too vibrant for a boring suburban life. He told me Brandon sounded nice, but nice isn't enough for a woman like you. I believed him. God, I wanted to believe him. I kissed him in the parking lot. Let him press me against my car. Let his hands wander. Drove home with my lipstick smeared and my heart pounding and told Brandon the happy hour ran late. He kept dinner warm for me in the oven. Made my favorite pasta. Had a glass of wine poured and waiting. How was it? He asked, kissing my forehead. Fine, I said, and went to take a shower to wash off the guilt. It should have ended there. It didn't. The affair went on for 3 months. 3 months of elaborate lies. Working late. Gym ran over. Girls' night. 3 months of silencing my phone when Brandon called during my meetings. 3 months of letting Jackson tell me I was wasting my potential on a man who couldn't match my energy, who didn't understand me, who was holding me back from my best life. 3 months of ignoring that Jackson had 3 other women's names popping up in his phone when we were together. Of ignoring that he'd canceled on me 4 times because something came up. Of ignoring that he never wanted to go anywhere public, always his place or a hotel, always somewhere we wouldn't be seen. 3 months of ignoring that Brandon came home every single night. That he'd never canceled a plan with me. That his phone didn't blow up with women's names. That he'd held my hand through chemotherapy visits with my mom. That he'd learned to cook my grandmother's recipes after she died so I could still taste home. That he'd never, not once, made me feel small or stupid or less than. I chose to ignore all of it. Because Jackson made me feel like the main character in my own life instead of a supporting role in someone else's. I told myself I'd end it with Brandon gently. After the holidays. After his promotion went through. After his dad's surgery recovery. After I figured out the right time. There's never a right time to detonate someone's life. You just keep moving the goalpost until you get caught. I came home from Jackson's apartment on a Tuesday in March. I told Brandon I was at a women's networking event. I'd spent 3 hours in Jackson's bed instead, believing him when he said we'd figure this out and be together for real once I dealt with the Brandon situation. Like my fiancé was a problem to be solved instead of a human being who loved me. I still smelled like Jackson's cologne. Still had beard burn on my neck that I'd have to explain away. Still felt high on the validation, the attention, the feeling of being wanted in that desperate, hungry way instead of the steady, certain way Brandon wanted me. Brandon was sitting at the kitchen table when I walked in. Not on the couch where he usually watched TV. Not in the bedroom. At the table. Waiting. My phone, the one I thought I'd hidden in my gym bag, was face up in front of him. The screen showed everything. The texts. The photos Jackson had sent. The messages where I complained about Brandon being boring and not enough. The plans Jackson and I had made to run away together once I dealt with my engagement. The messages where I'd said I was finally living and deserving better. My stomach dropped through the floor. Brandon looked up at me. His eyes were red. He'd been crying? Brandon never cried. Not at his grandfather's funeral. Not when his childhood dog died. Not when he broke his arm in 3 places. But he'd cried over me. I read all of it, he said. His voice was quiet. Steady. Worse than yelling. Every single message. Going back 3 months. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. What do you say? Sorry? I can explain? It didn't mean anything? All lies. It meant everything. It meant I'd chosen to destroy us. I went to surprise you at your networking event, he continued. Calm. Too calm. Called the venue to see if I could bring you flowers. They said there was no event tonight. Hasn't been all month. He stood up. Walked to the bedroom. I heard drawers opening. Heard the closet. He came back with a suitcase I didn't know he'd packed. Brandon, please. Don't. He held up his hand. I don't want to hear your voice right now. I don't want to hear excuses or explanations or how you didn't mean to or how it just happened. It didn't just happen. You chose this. Every lie. Every time you came home smelling like him. Every time you looked me in the eye and told me you loved me while you were fucking someone else. I'd never heard him swear. Not once in 6 years. I'm staying at my brother's, he said. I'll have someone come get the rest of my things this week. My lawyer will contact you about the ring. The wedding's cancelled. I already called the venue. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't show up at my job or my family's houses. If you try to contact me, I'll file a restraining order. Brandon, I love you. He laughed. It was hollow. No, you don't. You don't destroy people you love. We can work through this. There's no we anymore. There's just you and the choices you made. He picked up his suitcase. Walked to the door. Stopped with his hand on the knob. I hope he was worth it, he said without turning around. I hope whatever you were looking for in him was worth throwing away everything we built. Then he left. Didn't slam the door. Just closed it, soft and final, like he was sealing a tomb shut. I stood there in the kitchen, still holding my purse, still wearing the guilt like a second skin, my phone buzzing in my pocket. I pulled it out. Texted Jackson with shaking hands. He knows. It's over. We can finally be together. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Then disappeared. Then nothing. I waited an hour. 2 hours. Staring at my phone. Willing him to respond. At midnight, I checked Instagram. He posted a story. Him at a bar with a blonde woman. Living my best life with a beer emoji. I tried to call. It went straight to voicemail. I texted again. Did you block me? The message turned green. Not delivered. He blocked me. 20 minutes after I told him I was free. After 3 months of telling me he couldn't wait to be with me for real. After all the promises. After I'd blown up my entire life for him. He'd blocked me. I sank to the kitchen floor and finally understood what I'd done. Turns out, Jackson wasn't interested in a woman who came with baggage and consequences. He wanted the affair. The thrill. The sneaking around. The fantasy of the unattainable woman who went home to someone else. Not the reality of me, alone, sobbing on a kitchen floor in an apartment I couldn't afford by myself, calling him 17 times while he partied with someone new. The first week, I told myself Brandon would cool down. That he'd realize we could fix this. I'd send one carefully worded text. Just one. Apologizing. Begging. Explaining. But his number was disconnected. New number. New life. Like I'd never existed. I tried his brother. Blocked. His best friend. Blocked. His sister Nicole, who I'd been close with, who'd helped me plan the wedding, who told me once that I was the best thing that ever happened to her brother. I sent her a long message. Explaining. Apologizing. Begging her to tell Brandon I was sorry. She responded once, "You don't deserve closure. You don't deserve his forgiveness. Leave my brother alone. If you contact anyone in this family again, we'll file harassment charges." The wedding cancellation was public. Brandon's family told everyone the truth. I'd begged him through his sister not to just say we grew apart, but he didn't owe me that kindness. Within 3 days, everyone knew I'd cheated. Everyone knew I'd thrown away a good man for a gym trainer who ghosted me the second it got real. My own friends started distancing themselves. The single ones who'd hyped me up, who'd said Brandon was boring, who'd encouraged me to explore my options. Gone quiet. Turns out you deserve better only applies until you actually blow up your life. Then you're just the cautionary tale they'll tell at brunch. Kayla, my best friend since college, the one who'd been maid of honor, who'd thrown me a bridal shower, sent me a text 3 weeks after Brandon left. "I love you, but I can't support what you did. You destroyed a good man who loved you with his whole heart. You lied to all of us. You made us complicit in your affair by covering for you. I need space." Space meant forever, apparently. She blocked me 2 days later. My work found out. Not officially. Someone who knew Brandon's sister. But you know how offices are. Whispers in the break room that stopped when I walked in. Side eyes in meetings. People who used to eat lunch with me suddenly too busy. Someone accidentally forwarded me a group chat where they were discussing what I'd done. Screenshots of my Instagram. Comments like "she seems like the type," and I always thought something was off about her, and homewrecker energy. I wasn't wrecking someone else's home. I'd burned down my own. My boss called me after a month. Didn't fire me. Couldn't, legally. But suggested I might be happier elsewhere and that my personal drama was affecting team morale. I quit the next week. Couldn't take the stairs anymore. Money got tight fast. The apartment Brandon and I shared was $2,100 a month. His income covered most of it. Mine barely covered groceries and utilities. I tried to break the lease. $4,000 penalty. I didn't have it. Started pawning things. The nice jewelry Brandon had given me. My laptop. Some furniture. It wasn't enough. I had to move out after 3 months. Couldn't find anyone to sublet. Couldn't afford it alone. My credit took a hit when I couldn't pay the last 2 months. I'm 32 years old and I moved back into my childhood bedroom at my dad's house. The room still has the same purple paint from high school. The same closet where I used to hang homecoming dresses. The same window I used to sneak out of to see my teenage boyfriend. Except now I'm sneaking back in at 32, a failed engagement, and a destroyed reputation dragging behind me like chains. My dad didn't say much when I showed up with 3 suitcases and a broken spirit. Just hugged me and said I could stay as long as I needed. But I hear him on the phone sometimes with my stepmom. I don't know what to do for her. She won't talk to anyone. She just stays in her room. I tried reaching out to Brandon one more time. 3 months after he left. I'd driven past his brother's house a dozen times, but this time I actually stopped. Sat in my car for 2 hours, engine off, rehearsing what I'd say. How I'd explain that I'd made the worst mistake of my life. How I'd changed. How I understood now what I'd thrown away. How I'd do anything to make it right. I saw him come outside. He looked different. Thinner. His hair was shorter. He was carrying a coffee, probably heading to work early like he always did. I got out of the car. My legs felt like jelly. "Brandon," I called out. He stopped. Turned. Saw me. And for a second, just a second, I thought maybe he'd listen. Maybe we could talk. Then his face went blank. That same look from the night he left. Like I was a stranger. Like I was nothing. He turned around and walked back inside without a word. Didn't run. Didn't yell. Just walked away like I was a ghost he refused to acknowledge. I stood there for 10 minutes. Waiting. Hoping he'd come back out. He didn't. I drove home and cried so hard I had to pull over. The shame is the worst part. Not the big, dramatic kind you see in movies. The small, constant, daily kind that eats at you like acid. Seeing couples at Target holding hands and having to leave my cart and walk out before I break down in the cereal aisle. Watching my cousin's wedding on Facebook and knowing I'll never have that I destroyed my shot at forever. Hearing a song that was hours on the radio and having to pull over because I can't see through the tears. Going to therapy and having my therapist gently suggest I need to forgive myself when I don't deserve forgiveness. Scrolling through old photos on my phone. Brandon and me at the Grand Canyon. Brandon and me at his sister's baby shower. Brandon and me on Christmas morning, him in the ugly sweater I'd bought him, me in his arms. Both of us smiling like we'd won the lottery. Like we were untouchable. I deleted them all one night. Then immediately restored them from the trash. Then deleted them again. Then restored them again. I can't let go, but holding on is killing me. My dad caught me looking at them once. Sat down next to me on my childhood bed. You made a mistake, he said quietly. A big one. I destroyed everything, Dad. Yeah. You did. No comfort. No, it'll be okay. Just honesty. The question is what you do now, he said. You can't get him back. You know that, right? I nodded. So you figure out how to live with what you did. But how do you live with it? How do you wake up every morning knowing you traded a man who loved you with his whole heart for a guy who couldn't even be bothered to text you back? How do you sit at family dinners and smile when your aunt asks about Brandon because she hasn't heard? How do you exist in your own skin knowing you're the villain in everyone's story, including your own? I check Jackson's Instagram sometimes. I know I shouldn't. It's like pressing on a bruise. But I do it anyway. He posts regularly. Gym selfies. Motivational quotes. Photos with different women. He has a girlfriend now. She's 24. Beautiful. Probably doesn't know he's messaging other clients. Probably thinks she's special. I want to warn her. I've drafted the message 100 times. But what would I say? Hi, you don't know me, but the guy you're dating is a narcissist who'll dump you the second you become inconvenient? She wouldn't believe me. I wouldn't have believed me either. Brandon got engaged last month. I found out through a mutual acquaintance's Instagram story. They tagged him in a photo from a restaurant. Him down on one knee. A woman with dark hair and a kind smile crying happy tears. The caption, when you know, you know. The ring was different from mine. Bigger. More expensive. Like he'd upgraded. No, that's not fair. Like he'd moved on to someone who deserved it. Her name is Maya. She's a nurse. Volunteers at animal shelters on weekends. Has a warm smile in every photo. Looks at Brandon the way I used to before I stopped appreciating what I had. I'm happy for him. I have to keep telling myself that. I'm happy he found someone who won't destroy him. Someone who'll show up. Someone who'll choose him every single day instead of lighting everything on fire for a temporary high. Mostly I just feel hollow. I've tried dating. Downloaded the apps. Went on 3 dates in 2 months. Told each guy I was getting over a breakup. Couldn't tell them the truth. Couldn't say I'm the cheater everyone warns you about. One guy Googled me. Found something, I don't know what. Maybe someone from my old office talking. Maybe a Facebook post. He texted me after our second date, I don't think this is going to work out. I didn't ask why. I knew. I tell myself I've learned. That I'm different now. That I understand what I had and what I threw away. That I'll never do this again. But who would give me the chance? My therapist says I need to forgive myself. That I was confused. That I was going through something. That people make mistakes. But this wasn't a mistake. Mistakes are accidents. Forgetting to lock the door. Adding salt instead of sugar. Sending an email to the wrong person. This was a choice. Hundreds of choices. Every lie. Every deleted text. Every time I looked Brandon in the eyes and told him I loved him while planning my next hookup with Jackson. I chose destruction and called it growth. I chose selfishness and called it self-care. I chose temporary validation over permanent love and called it finding myself. And now I'm alone in my childhood bedroom, 32 years old, scrolling through photos of a man who won't even acknowledge my existence, watching him build a life with someone who deserves him. The worst part? I don't even blame him. I'd erase me too. I thought I was choosing myself. I thought I was being brave. I thought I was refusing to settle. I was just being a coward who didn't know what she had until it was gone. They don't write happy endings for girls like me. They write warnings.